Hey guys, this is Michelle Oglesby, and I'm doing a short video about how to how to use the permalink in Galileo, how to pull an MLA citation from Galileo, and what your Works Cited page is going to start looking like. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen so we can log into English 1101 and look at the permalinks. If you want to go ahead and pause the video and pull up English 1101, you can absolutely do that. All right, so I am in our Unit 2 folder. I'm in the first week, Unit 2.1. And you'll notice you have a little textbook reading, and then you have your essay prompt. If you want to go ahead and click on this link so that you can read the prompt, you can look at the sources, you can see the rubric, that's all there for you, and it's going to help give you an idea of what you're creating by the end of the unit. Now, don't worry, because you're not creating an essay this week. We're building this essay over the course of Unit 2, so by the time we're done with this unit, you'll have your first essay with sources created. When you look at this prompt, you're going to see that you are trying to decide, you're creating an argument of whether or not the president was correct in making the decision to drop the atomic bombs on Japan to end World War II. A lot of people find this prompt frustrating at first because you can make an argument for either side. It was right because of these three reasons, or it was absolutely wrong for these three reasons. I created this prompt on purpose because I want you focusing on the evidence you use, the argument you build, not over whether or not you're right or wrong. I also didn't want to have 30 essays all saying the same thing. I want to be able to give you the freedom to pick either side depending on your own ideas and your own evidence that you're pulling. I've gone ahead and done the research for you. So you'll see listed below, and you'll also see listed on the rubric, not the rubric, on the prompt page, the 6 sources. You are only allowed to use these 6 sources. I want you focused on gathering evidence and using it correctly. I don't want you to get bogged down on what to use, how to use, when to use sources from everywhere. That's what we're going to hit in Unit 3. So I've provided the permalink, which means all you have to do is click on the link and it's going to take you to the article listed above. You'll notice several of them are articles. They're going to take you into Galileo. However, this very last one takes you into YouTube because it's an actual video. There are 6 sources listed. For your annotations this week, you're going to need to select 4. And perfect world, these 4 will be the 4 that you are using in your paper. They become the evidence you're building on when you're creating your argument. In order to get to it, all you're going to do is click on the link. It's going to open up into a new page into Galileo. The first time you use Galileo, it may ask you for a username and password. That's going to be your school username and your school password. The one you use for your school email, the one you use for Blackboard. You'll have to pick North Georgia Technical College off of the list because everyone in the state of Georgia, every school in the state of Georgia has access to Galileo for credible sources. When you're brought to your Galileo page, you're going to find the name of the article, the author, where it was actually published, the subjects within it, and then an abstract. An abstract is a short summary. This is not the actual article. This is just a quick summary of what the article is about, so that if you are doing the research on your own, you can read these few sentences to decide whether or not you want to read the actual 40-page document or 15-page document or 2-page document. If you scroll down to the bottom, you're going to find the source here. However, it's set up like a web page, and this may bother some folks. This may not be the way you want to read it. The other way you can read the article is right over here to the left. You can click on the PDF full text or the HTML full text. I personally like the PDF full text. And when you select it, it's going to open up in Galileo the actual article, the way it appeared as it was published. And you can see this looks very different than the actual article we were looking at below that was in a website format. So you can read it right here in Galileo. You also can print it right here from Galileo if you're someone who likes paper copies. But to your right, you also have the ability to email it to yourself, and you have the ability to export it. So you can download it, save it to your computer. And if you use Google Docs, it would probably be a personal email instead of a school email, but you can download it to Google Drive right here. So this gives you several ways that you can access the article and look at it and refer to it and use it. The really cool thing about Galileo is, first of all, you know you're using credible sources. It would be the same thing as if you walked into the library and started pulling magazines or newspapers or books off the shelf. These are authors who are published. They have often been peer-reviewed. They've gone through fact-checking. So you know you're building an argument based off of something that can be trustworthy. The other really cool feature about Galileo is you have right here this button called Cite. And if you click on it, it's going to open up how to cite this document. And you know now we're using MLA. So we're going to scroll down to MLA, Modern Language Association. And right here is the way you are going to cite this document on your Works Cited page. So all you have to do is highlight and copy. Now, for some reason, Galileo makes some things all caps and it shouldn't be. So as we paste this in a Word document, you're going to have to go back and make the rest of the name lowercase. Of course, the first letter in their last name will be capitalized, but the TRESHINSKY should actually be lowercase. But that is a very minor thing to edit as opposed to trying to build this all on your own. The other thing you notice about Galileo is at the very end, it doesn't have the access date. So you're going to have to add the word accessed and then the day you actually pull this from a computer. And this is really important as you do research online because people need to be able to see when you pulled this document, how current is it? So if you are pulling this on June 11th, you're going to paste this Works Cited citation, and at the very end after the period, you're going to write the word accessed, 11 June 2020 period. And that lets anyone who reads your essay know, oh, well, you published it on the day on the first page in your header, and you did research on the 11th of June. Now I can see whether or not I want to trust you. So this brings up what a Works Cited page should look like. And so I'm pulling up a Word document, and this is actually your model essay that you're going to look at later on in the unit. But the very last page of your paper is going to be your Works Cited page. You'll notice that you have your last name and your page number. That's automatically happening because you're in MLA format. The very first line of the page is Works with an S, Cited. Nothing bold, nothing with a colon, nothing underlined. The format is boring, just like your normal essay writing format. And then underneath it is where you have listed all of your sources. So we have Michael Kunthen, who wrote The United States Should Invest in Oceans Before Space. We have Amadi Ezzoni, Final Frontier versus Fruitful Frontier. We have Exploration and Development of Earth Oceans. And you'll see here where we have it in alphabetical order. Our first word starts with a C. Our second source starts with an E, T, and our last source starts with an EXP. So you're going to want to make sure as you're putting your 4 sources on your abstract page, you're putting these in alphabetical order. You're also going to notice that the first line is normal. It starts in the very first space. Line 2 and line 3 have this really weird indent. It's called a hanging indent. This keeps you from having to number your sources or put them in bullet format because the eye very quickly sees here's one source, here's a second source, and now we're moving into a third source. Now this can be frustrating to do when you're in Microsoft Word. Usually when you copy and paste it the first time from Galileo onto your Word page, it's going to paste something like this, where your lines are normal. If you place your cursor in front of your line that needs to be indented and right-click, you're looking for the paragraph function. When you click on paragraph, under indentions, see how you have your normal general paragraph formatting, your indention formatting, and your spacing. So under your indention formatting, you want to click under special hanging because we want a special hanging indent for this line. You go ahead and press OK, and now we have the second line indented. The really nice thing about this is you can do multiple lines at once. So you remember how I copied and pasted, or I copied our citation from Galileo, and we have it listed here. But look, we've got this weird format going on. Everything's over to the left. So I'm going to go ahead and delete. I'm going to right click, and I want to paste special. And I wanted formatted text only. Now our font's weird. I'm going to have to put it back into 11. And technically, we should be in Times New Roman for MLA. So I'm going to move on down to Times New Roman. And we already have it in the hanging indent, which is nice. If it wasn't in the hanging indent, let me see. You would just go to the paragraph. You would make sure under indentation it said hanging, and you would press OK. You'll also notice you have this big long gap right here, and that's because the next word is the actual permalink to the source. Well, Word reads this all as one word because there's no space. So in order to kind of trick it and make it look right on your page, you just need to add a space somewhere. So let me add a space right here by direct. And see how it brings it back up to fill in the space? Because now it's reading it as search ebscohost.com is all one word. The space after the question mark lets it fit on that second line. I still have a little of space here, so I'm going to add a space after the equal sign. And I'm going to go ahead and delete my first space. Now, you don't have to be crazy specific, but you want it to be close enough to where it's actually looking like it's in correct format. And then, like we spoke, we need to make sure we have our access date, which was, what did I say, 11th of June, 2020 period. And you'll notice the date is set just like the date on your heading, day, month, and year. And then the last piece, we talked about how Galileo will sometimes put things in all caps. So if you go back in and fix that, it's a very minor thing than fighting with piecing all of this together. In Unit 3, we're going to talk about how to create these citations. But I want you to kind of see how we're formatting it together. So last thing, now that I've pasted it, I want to make sure I'm still in alphabetical order. I've got CO, ET, EX, ST. We are in alphabetical order. Everything's double spaced. We have our hanging indents, so things look good. I hope that this was helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and reach out. And we will continue working on our research paper in Unit 2.